Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are we all? A stunning Wednesday morning, but I'm going to go through a very important message this morning. Now I know, because I look at the analytics, that most people watch YouTube videos, including my own, for a few minutes, then they get bored, pick up a phone, go on to another video, and I get that, I understand it, I do it myself. However, please stay with me, this won't be long. Last year I was travelling down the other side of this carriageway. My wife and my daughter in the car, and we watched and witnessed a motorcycle accident on this carriageway. Now when it happened, I realised it was bad. I realised the situation was quite a serious one. We watched the actual impact and the crash. So we stopped, both my wife and myself are first aiders. And on this carriageway we attempted, well, my wife actually helped with the first aid while I was on the phone to the emergency services. Thankfully, which was a massive help at the time, part of the traffic jam held a off-duty paramedic who helped and was there on the scene at the same time as us. And I watched, while on the phone, these few people trying to do the best they possibly could to help this young man who had come off his motorbike. And one of the hardest parts for me, which I realised, was the fact my daughter was sat in the car watching all this as it happened, knowing full well that I'm a motorcyclist myself. Now very sadly, the rider didn't make it, and it was horrendous, and it sort of affected me and my family for a little while afterwards. I actually didn't ride my bike for a couple of weeks because I just couldn't get my head around it. But one thing that came out of it was I put a post on the local Weston bike night Facebook page, explaining the situation, explaining what had happened, what I'd seen, a little bit about how I felt guilty because I couldn't do more at the time. And to be fair, I probably did it for a little bit of support because, you know, it was affecting me. And surprisingly for Facebook, I got support. I got a lot of information from people. You know, they'd been through a similar sort of thing. This is how they dealt with it. But one thing really shone through on the information, and that was some advice to go and do a Biker Down course, which is a course held by your local fire and rescue service. Mine was the Weston-super-Mare Fire and Rescue Service, part of Avon and Somerset. And it's a free course, and you go along, you book a place, they teach you on all the things that are important if you witness a motorcycle accident, including the first aid, including things like how to remove a helmet. If you need to remove a helmet because someone isn't breathing, you get that helmet off, against all your better judgment, which says never remove the helmet, wait till the paramedics arrive. If that person's not breathing, you remove the helmet, and it shows you how to do it safely without risking damaging the neck. But also what it did, which I think is more important, is taught us on how to avoid accidents in the first place. Now obviously some of the information was to do with riding slower, riding safer, which, let's be honest, very few of us do, because we all ride at a speed that is probably excessive for the conditions at some point. But it also showed a few things which surprised me. I'm going to put a picture up on the screen, and I just want you to look at it, not stare at it, look at it, and I'll take it back down and have a think what you saw. So basically, say you've come up to a junction, you've looked left, you've looked right, and as you've looked right, that's what you've seen. Looks like a afternoon time, sun's peeking through the trees at the back of the road. If you haven't seen this picture before, you probably didn't notice the motorcycle coming over the crest of the hill. And when they put that up on the screen, that scared the hell out of me. They did show another picture, which I unfortunately couldn't find to add to this video, which was a motorcyclist in front of a Range Rover, but the motorcyclist was about 100 yards in front of the Range Rover. Both vehicles were black, the motorcyclist was wearing black, they both had headlamps on, and the way the motorcycle was positioned, it just looked like it was the near side headlamp of the Range Rover, and you couldn't see the biker, so you didn't know that 100 yards ahead of that Range Rover was a motorcyclist coming towards you. Now I want to very quickly talk about something called SICARs. You may have heard them. I don't know how to spell them. I've tried searching them on Google, but because I'm not sure how to spell them, I'm not sure if I'm looking for the right thing. But basically, SICARs are a process that the brain carries out when you look left and right. So for instance, I'm on a nice straight road, there's nothing around me. If I look left and I look right, as if I'm pulling out of a junction, I think that I have done a 180 sweep from there to there. You're wrong. What the brain has done is it's picked out 5 points along that 180 sweep, and it's filled in the gaps with what it thinks is there. Now if I put an image up on the screen that kind of describes that, and I fill in the gaps that the brain has filled in with blurry areas, you imagine if someone's pulling out of a junction and they've looked left and right, they've genuinely looked left and right, but unfortunately the position that you and your motorcycle are in is in one of those blurred areas, you're in trouble. It's the old saying, sorry mate, I didn't see you. Well no, to be fair, they probably looked, but they didn't see you. And this is unfortunately how the brain works. So I always ride with the opinion that every other person on the road is an idiot and they haven't seen me. They will do idiotic things. I think that's probably the best way to stay alive. So please gents, I hope you've stayed with me. It's not been a particularly long video. I think it's more factual. The only thing I'm going to say to you guys is get in touch with your local fire and rescue service. Make the phone call, look on Google, search it, you'll find it. They're all doing it. It's a free of charge training course. It's held at your local fire station. You can make a donation at the end of it if you want, but they do it because the last thing these guys want to do, and they were quite open with it when we had our course, the last thing they want to do is scrape people up off the road. So please take a look, get the course booked, see it from another angle. See it from the side of a person who is driving a car, has done everything they think is right. They pulled out on you because they genuinely didn't see you. So take the course, drive safe, ride safe, be safe, get home at the end of the day in one piece, and I will catch you guys on the flip side.